What?
Yes, sir.
So it is 6:35. Okay, so everybody is in?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
can see the slide also? Anybody has any
Yes, sir.
problem?
No, sir. It is visible.
Visible. Okay, so let's start. Um, So basically, there are, one can focus on economy, one can focus on efficiency, but a more popular one, whenever we say economic evaluation, usually we this effectiveness part or cost effectiveness part, but actually it covers the whole gamut, all E's. We focus now on the effectiveness and more specifically on cost effectiveness part. And here we get three types of tools, techniques are usually used. Now, they are actually triplets. They are three sisters born at the same time. And so that they are same, except little difference. And the difference is not in the first part, that is in cost. Difference is in the second part, that is how do you define the outcome, benefit, effectiveness, or utility. So there are three types: CBA, cost benefit analysis; there are CEA, cost effectiveness analysis; and the CEUA, cost utility analysis. As you say that cost differences in these three, cost there is no difference, the effect part is difference. Now in CBA, the major cost benefit analysis is very popular among environmentalists and or in many development economists they use this tool. In health also this tool has been used. Here the effect is measured in terms of money, monetary terms. So cost is already in monetary terms, benefit is also, effect is also in monetary terms. So essentially you define this way that I spent 100 rupees on doing something, and what the money is worth I have got in return. I spent 100 rupees in watching a movie. That 100 rupees is very clear. I have purchased the ticket with that, and what I got in return. If you can translate in terms of money, my satisfaction in terms of money. Now, these kind of thing, that is translating this in money terms, becomes very difficult. And sometimes very questionable also. Because many people will not agree the way you translate the effect into money. We'll discuss about this more, but at this point, but there are many CBA analysis has been done. We also did some cost benefit analysis, especially in the case of family planning programs, that if you now invest $100 million in family planning program, that is, all family planning components plus safe abortion, then what is the return you get in money terms? So what you have to do, you have to translate this into money. And how do you do that? Now, one way to do that is basically the effect means in this case is that, what will be the effect? The effect is that if you have a successful birth control program, then many unwanted pregnancy will be averted. An unwanted child will not be born. So as a result, the morbidity and mortality associated with those birth of the child and later on the treatment of the child and the mother will be saved. Because the child is not born, this is an unwanted child. Now that health care savings, health cost savings can be taken as a kind of return in terms of money. Recently we did a study and show that later on. See, this is makes it difficult. Another difficulty in benefit cost benefit analysis is that this benefit is not only just direct benefits, which you get in immediately, you can see the benefit. It is also indirect benefits, which includes indirect benefits. For example, one benefit of face mask is of course the aversion of coronavirus, the COVID-19 virus, right? You are protected, if not totally, at least mostly. Now, this is direct benefit, but there are indirect benefits also. And what is that? So, you see, those slides are not available. Saurabh Patnaik.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So,
I don't know. I think network issue. I think the
network.
slides are not. My audio is okay, but I can't see any slides actually, sir.
Okay, then answer my question. The direct benefit of a face mask in this corona crisis is that you avoid, you prevent, the virus. What will be the indirect benefits?
Prevention of coronavirus.
Yeah, this is the direct benefit. That's why you are wearing mask. But is there any other benefit?
Cost. If more diseases that I think for prevention of
Yes, I do.
Sir, it also prevents the spread of tuberculosis.
Yeah, many other airborne diseases they prevent. So, but these benefits remain mostly invisible, and you don't really, you are not addressing that. You are not wearing mask for preventing the TB cases. You are wearing the mask for this particular corona case. Similarly, hand washing, no, it definitely prevents corona case, but it prevents many other cases where the virus spreads to hand to mouth, transmission. In AIDS program actually, there are some interesting studies are done that condom promotion was one of the goals of AIDS control. It's a direct benefit that if the condom is used, then definitely you are protected from infection. But at the same time, it also about the unwanted birth. So it also helps family planning programs. So by this way, indirect benefit. Now some indirect benefits are so indirect that it is very difficult to trace them out and quantify them in money terms. That makes it difficult. Is it understood, sort of?
yes, sir.
Okay. Now I am back to slides again. Even if somebody has a problem, let me know. You can see all of you can see.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. Next is CEA. CEA is cost effectiveness analysis, where the effect is measured not in terms of money but in terms of health outcomes. For example, aborted deaths, aborted cases, aborted births, this kind of thing. How many deaths you could avoid by this intervention. Now this is much easier than CPA because here you don't have to translate it into money. That's why it is so popular among the health researchers. So you will see the series and hundreds and thousands of papers on this CEA. Now, A very similar version of CEA is called CEUA, where instead of health outcome in terms of numbers of days or bars or cases, you translate them into some index, utility index, such as, which is called DAL. Disability adjusted life year, you know all these things, right? Review, is it in their syllabus or
Yes, sir. It is in syllabus.
in the syllabus? So, but still, I know later on when I do some, show some utility analysis, I will just quickly explain that. But this is, here we are not using any numbers of days or bars or only any health outcomes actually. Here we measure in terms of what is the problem in CEA? In CEA, problem is that the health outcomes are either you can measure in terms of mortality or in terms of morbidity or both. Either mortality deaths or morbidity means how many people suffer but not dying, or both. Technically, you should consider both mortality and morbidity. But in CEA, both cannot be, both is very difficult to consider. I mean, it is very difficult to analyze both mortality and morbidity effect through CEA because their units are different. 2 persons died and 2 persons are suffering, then these two are not same. These first two and second two are not same. Those who are died have died, they are gone. And those who are suffering, they are not dead. So they cannot be compared, they cannot be added. You cannot say that my effect is 4 people, 2 plus 2, 4. So you cannot add mortality or morbidity. You have to transform them, convert them into some common denominator, so common index, and that's what DALI does, and that's what CEUA does, where you can consider both mortality and morbidity. So that's why it is more popular to the researchers, whereas to the health managers and those who have not enough rigorous training, for them CEA is very popular. So we focus on now CEA. Cost effectiveness analysis. Typically, it answers these 4 questions. Number 1, how costly the program or approach is. That means, what is the cost of the program? How much net effect the program approach could generate? And then, what is the cost per unit of effect? The third question is nothing but when you answer first and second, automatically you can answer third. You know the cost, you know the effect. Then third question is what is the cost per unit of effect. That is, you divide first by second. Then compare with comparable programs and approaches. And that approach may also include doing nothing. That is, if you don't do anything, do not wear mask or do not wash your hand, this is one approach. Now there will be no cost at all. People or the government will not spend any money on masks or on washing materials, etc. Compare it with that wearing mask or hand washing, there will be cost. So which is better in terms of cost per unit of effect? So this is kind of last answer. So we have to answer the first 2, and basically these will be the steps. I will come back to this, but step 2 and step 3 very important. You have to calculate the cost. You have to calculate the net effects. So we have to spend some time on each of them separately, especially the step 2, which is cost. And then we can come back to the steps and then do show you how to do that. So that's what I'll do now. So the next steps will be I'll present a brief introduction on cost concepts, basic concepts on cost. And then a brief introduction on the measurement of benefits or outcomes. That will be done in the next day. And then in the next day we'll come back to steps to conduct CEA. That is, I'll come back to this slide. So we'll take a detour and then we'll basically focus now on cost. Now all these things you will get, all things about cost you will get on the reading material I've given handout. So this is my first presentation. Any question at this point?
Any question from the participant? Please ask, sir.
Dr. Arnav Sarkar, yes.
Sir, is for health program evaluation, is it only we can use cost effectiveness or any of these methods we can use?
All three are used. Cost benefit analysis is used, cost effectiveness. Actually, cost utility and cost effectiveness same, almost same, because here whether you are measuring in terms of some outcome, health outcome, or some index. So theoretically they are same. Both are used. Cost benefit analysis is used by primarily when a program is designed. At the beginning, before you start a program and a big program, it answers some broad questions like should you spend more on primary health care or should we spend on tertiary care? Should we have more AIMS? Should we need more AIMS type hospitals or should we need more public health centers? This kind of thing. Or should we need a primary health center or should we need a school? That kind of answer. Or even should, where the donor agency or anybody who is spending money, they interested to know basically, or even policymakers, they sometimes understand the money. When you explain in monetary terms, they understand better. If you tell them that, look, I will do this intervention here for anemia control, and as a result, many people will be benefited. The health secretary will say, no, I'm not interested about that. How many people will be benefited and what? But if you tell them that, okay, look, if you spend 100 rupees on anemia control, you will get a return of 300 rupees after some time. The return will be about, in terms of money, will be about 300. Probably they understand it better. The MLAs, MPs, and the secretaries, they understand better. So in that case, cost benefit analysis is useful. Cost effectiveness analysis in health outcome, in terms of health outcome, is very useful for health managers, especially where the mortality or morbidity are very clear and very, especially the mortality where the people are dying. Their cost effectiveness analysis or family planning program is very much used, even where the mortality is not there but morbidity is very much there. There also it is very useful. So usually it is very most popular. CEUA is used, this version is used usually by the researchers, those who have some training. And in health economics and in relevant areas, and they are actually where the mortality and morbidity both are important. The effect both are important. You have to consider CUA. People will consider CUA in this case. So CUA nowadays is used by researchers, but the health makers usually don't understand business qualities, etc. So it is better to follow CEA. So all of them are used.
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা বুঝতে পেরেছি আমি তাহলে দেখছি ম্যাডাম ঠিক আছে আমি কবে
Any questions from
Anybody?
other one?
ঠিক আছে ম্যাম সেটাও ঠিক আছে দেখো হুম 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 হ্যাঁ 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 ওকে ওকে
All right. Okay, so in that case, you can always ask question, back and forth, you can, Soili, are you asking any question?
Shaili, we are not audible to you.
So for a single program, can both CPA and CA?
Can be done, but no use to. And I mean, no need to do that because usually the purpose of CBA, they said, is that when the information must be in monetary terms.
Simultaneously?
They cannot. They should. They are usually not.
Hello?
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
What is your question?
So
Shaili,
for a single program, can both CA and CPA be used simultaneously?
They can be theoretically, both of them can be used simultaneously, but practically they are not used because to do a study is an expensive affair. Why would you spend more?
Am I audible now? Hello?
You are already audible, but I am not audible to you probably. I have got your question, but
yes, I think Shaili has also got the
Sir, you are audible,
answer.
sir. Okay, I got the answer.
okay.
Sir, I got the answer. Thank you, sir.
Sure. All right. Thank you. Okay, so let us go to the next one, the cost one. So I will stop sharing now and then I will go to. Okay, and now I have shared presentation 2. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. It is here.
Costs in healthcare, some basic concepts. Now, usually the term cost is, sometimes misleading. And actually it may mean many things. For example, if I say, how much does this phone cost to you? That's what I mean actually. I mean that what is the price of the phone, mobile? If I ask you how much does it cost to you, how much does this phone cost to you, what I am basically asking that, what is the price of this? What is the price you paid for this phone? But if I ask that, what is the cost of producing this telephone, the answer will be different. Because in this case, cost means basically how much resources were required and the producer paid for these resources. So if I say that it costed 10,000 rupees to produce this mobile, that means the mobiles, handset, the materials, manpower, labor, etc. Everything costed. And if you add some profit also, then it is 10,000 rupees. So cost has different meaning to different people, and we have to be very clear from the very beginning what we mean in the present context. In the present context, we mean always associated with production of some product or service. That is, this telephone, how much does this telephone and mobile cost to you is not the question that we are going to ask. This is from the consumer's viewpoint. We are asking that how much cost is to produce this product. So it is from the producer's viewpoint. Second one is very important, and that's where we make the mistake. Usually when I say cost, you mean the resources you require for the production. In economics we mean the value of resources used in the production, not necessarily what you pay for them. For example, I will give some example here, but just to make sure that you understand this point, that suppose you need a doctor for your program and you are paying the doctor, say, 50,000 rupees. But actually the market value of a doctor is suppose 1 lakh. So you are using a 1 lakh value asset and paying 50, half of that price. Cost will mean in economics 1 lakh. That is what is the resources you are using, irrespective of whether you paid for it, whether you partially paid for it, whether you totally paid for it, this price. So this is the distinction you have to keep in this is very important thing to remember. We will come back again and again to this point. Again, cost are looked at from different viewpoint. You may ask that how much did it cost to the hospital, Arjigar hospital, to treat one COVID-19 patient? This is one type of question. This is called normal cost. You may also ask, alternatively you may ask, how much should it cost to treat a COVID-19 patient in Arjigar type hospital? Now, the difference between these two is that in the first case we are talking about what is actually costing, and in the second case what it should cost. This is called standard costing. That is, some benchmark cost is there, and you may compare it with actual cost. So there are problems. We'll see that in many cases we have to do normal costing, but there are problems associated with that. Classification, some standard classification. This is the one that just I said. Actual cost is which is actually incurred by the producer and usually applied during or after a program is on. So how much actually is costing to Arjigar to treat a patient? So you have to see that what is the doctor's actual salary and what is the actual material used, etc. Standard cost is on the other hand what it should be now. How much should it cost?
Sir, I have a question here. May I ask, sir?
Yeah,
Sir,
this name first.
Sir, I'm myself Rajesh.
Rajesh, yes, go ahead, Rajesh.
Sir, actually here, standard cost, then we should calculate the standard cost initial before a process, and actual cost we should calculate the actual cost after the completion of the process. Is it so, sir?
Even during actually can be done during the process.
Okay.
Even before the process you can do if you know the what items you are going to cost and you already know the actual how much actually you will produce. For example, if I want to start a program tomorrow and I know that I need 3 health workers and I already know that I will pay them this much of money. So its actual cost we know already. Even if we have not started yet, we more or less know the thing. We also maybe know that, okay, I need to buy a motorcycle for this program and I know that from where I will buy and then what will be the actual price of that. So all these things, if it is known, then it can be done before, but usually it is done during the process or after the process. Standard costing on the other hand can be done at any stage because...
Sir,
Go ahead.
Sir, I want to ask that suppose the doctor's salary is separate in separate states. So in that case of the national program is running in a hospital and I am to do on cost effectiveness analysis or cost benefit analysis. But then their cost will be different for different states because their doctors are differently salaried.
Yes. Yes, why doctors are differently salaried? Because maybe up to many reasons, but the most possible reason is that the markets are different actually. If you consider Kolkata or West Bengal, if you consider, suppose a subdivision or town in Birbhum district, and you compare it with the Mumbai Lilavati Hospital doctor, naturally the markets are different here. I mean, naturally their prices will be different, and so you have they are necessarily different. So you have to maintain the differences.
Sir, in that case, for a national program, like I want to study a national program cost benefit, then I cannot do it in a national level, or I have to do it in separate state.
National level you can do because in many cases national level programs are government programs, and usually the government salary is more or less converge. And even if they don't, then in that case the difference should be included. If you consider those differences, then you can do nationally. When we did the leprosy control we did an evaluation of leprosy control program. That is in a long time ago. That in 1990 actually leprosy control program started with renewed leprosy control program started with World Bank support, and then so what happened after 10 years? Similarly, the blindness control program in 1980s, and it was totally by public resources, and it was found that the program was dying, and there are huge backlog of cataract patients. They need surgical intervention. But no, the hospitals, the huge backlog there. And so the World Bank came in 1990s and came up with a huge program on blindness control program, huge support of blindness control program. Things changed. So in 10 years they ran the program with World Bank support and cleared almost all the backlogs. And so we did an analysis that what is the benefit of that. I'll show you that. So you have to consider those differences. Another thing is that, which I already answered, that which cost should I consider, accounting cost or economic cost? Now, accounting cost is that which you actually paid. Which you actually paid for the resources. For example, what is the actual salary of the doctor you paid? You may be paying more than the market price, or you may be paying less than the market price. It doesn't matter what you are actually paying. The accountant in your hospital or finance department in your hospital doesn't bother about what it should be. He says that क्या पेमेंट कितना पेमेंट किया, सैलरी कितना है, वो सैलरी बिल वाउचर कहाँ है. So they look at those bills and then they put that this is accounting cost. Economic cost, on the other hand, it considers all resources, market value of all resources in the production. It may be paid, unpaid, partially paid. They may be totally paid. The doctor is getting full salary, unpaid, no salary. There are many hospitals, the hospital doctors or the manpower is not getting salary. Partially paid, they are getting partially paid. For example, you have your own nursing home and you are a doctor and you are working in your own nursing home. Do you take a salary? No. How can you pay a salary to yourself? So you take profit of the nursing home Accounting cost, the salary under your name will be zero. But economic cost, salary will be, even if you don't take salary, the economist will put some value there, impute the market value of that, and that is called economic cost. Now, when you do this kind of analysis, economic evaluation, you have to consider economic costs. In some cases, it's very difficult to do economic costing. Then, in that case, you can take accounting cost, but usually you should do economic costs. Example দিচ্ছি, কোয়ারেন্টাইন ক্যাম্প একটা ধরা যাক, ইয়ে থেকে আসছে, দে আর কামিং ফ্রম এয়ারপোর্ট থেকে আশেপাশে কোয়ারেন্টাইন ক্যাম্প করা হয়েছিল। Now to run a quarantine camp, you need a lot of things, inputs.
পাসপোর্টটা
You need a manager or
তুমি
coordinator.
একটু ওদের সার্ভে ফর্মটা দেখে
Now
নাও।
suppose there are some volunteers there. No, they are the local boys who say that we don't need salary, I will go work. There are some rented rooms, food, etc. And there are many other things. Let's take this sport. You know their market price. Suppose this is the market price.
যেমন ধরো
And suppose the manager got the market price.
20,000
rupees.
দিয়ে দিয়েছি রিকোয়ার্ড
Volunteer market price is 10,000. That means that if the volunteer works as a paid employee in some other place, usually the rate is 10,000. But since here the volunteer is not charging anything, so price actually you are paying zero. Rented room,
ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে
suppose the market price is 15,000 and the government has negotiated down to 10,000. Food, market price 10,000, price paid 10,000, now total units cost used. Now economic cost is multiply the market price into total units. So you get the values. Whereas accounting cost is multiply the prices paid column to total units used, and then you get the accounting cost. Then you add them and you say that the accounting cost is 2,70,000, whereas economic cost is 3,10,000. Which cost should you consider? Economic cost. No, sometimes since in the case where you actual price is, you are not sure about actual price, you are basically using market price as a proxy value. It is also called shadow pricing. So you have to do shadow pricing in this case.
Sir, shadow pricing क्या होगा?
Shadow pricing means that when shadow means what? It's a proxy of the real person or real thing, right? When you don't see the real person, you take the shadow. Shadow pricing is that when you actual price, you are doubtful about that, whether it is how much it's a true market price or not, or whatever, or actual price is zero. Price is paid is zero for volunteer, it is zero. Then use their market price. Then market price is the shadow price. It's not actually paid. Right? So, but you are assuming that as if it is being paid. So in the accountant's ledger, in income, expenditure ledger, and the volunteer salary will be zero. In economics notebook, volunteer salary will be 20,000. The question is why economists are considering this? If the cost is zero, then why it should be zero? Why you are putting some value there? What will be the answer?
Cost per unit.
Yes.
Sir, we need to calculate cost per unit of effect. So we have to calculate cost.
Yeah, so take accounting cost, 2,70,000, and then you know that how many people were attended the camp, say 10,000 people. So divide 270 by 10,000, you get per person cost.
Sir,
Why are you considering 3,50,000 unnecessarily?
sir, benefit in that case, this difference will be our benefit.
No, that is different. Benefit is a different thing. This is all about cost. We are not considering the benefit here, whether they are curing or not, and that's a different issue. My question is very straightforward. That if you don't pay salary to somebody,
Sir, if
yes.
we take economic cost, then we can apply the result to another places where actually economic cost is. That means here I am getting volunteering without any paying anything, but in another place maybe volunteers are being paid. So in that case,
Like in other place, the price paid may be different.
yeah, actually not other place. In your organization, maybe you are getting volunteer now free. But if you continue the program, say after 5 years, at that time volunteer may ask salary. I mean, your volunteer may leave, and then in that case you may have to hire some people. So if you don't estimate the economic cost, you will never know that how much money I have to generate. Here it is clear that you have to generate 3,15,000 to cover all resources. Although you are not paying that much, but in future when the volunteers will not be there, or rented room will be, at per market price. You have to pay 3,000, 15,000. Now, if you don't estimate those things, if you go by accounting cost, you will never be ready for that situation. And this is called sustainability argument. Your program will be unsustainable. So there are many such programs started in India with big bang and just ended with a whimper. Nobody knew when it ended, just because there was no sustainability plan. And the sustainability plan was not there because the NGO thought the donor support will continue forever. But the donor support was for 5 years, many things are free. So when donor left, they say that, oh my God, I don't know even how much money I need to cover the thing. I am not prepared for that. So as a result, the whole thing crashed. So this is called sustainability argument. I did a study on Tibetan settlements. You know the Tibetans, Dalai Lama's group team, they are in India and mostly in South India, but they are, a large group is in Dharamshala also. And they have a ministry, they have a health department, they have their own things, the government is there, but they're mostly, dependent on Indian government. This Tibetan settlement has a hospital called Delek Hospital. It's a small hospital, cute hospital, and this is primarily for the Tibetans. And this hospital I visited at that time, actually doing a study on this Tibetan settlement, and then wanted to know basically that how much support they need, financial support they need for their health programs. So when I visited Delek Hospital, I saw that all the doctors are volunteers actually, because a lot of international people support Tibetans' cause. So many people from Denmark, Norway, Sweden come here for 1 year, 2 years, work as free. They get huge donation, and they got in terms of equipment, beds, etc. So when I actually tried to estimate the cost, we found that it is almost zero. Even the operating cost is almost zero. They said we don't have any cost. Everything is paid for by there are volunteers, there are free things. There are some costs, of course, some maintenance cost operation, but that's very minimal. But then when they were told that suppose the donor agencies, donors, after 5 years they withdraw, then what will you do? They don't know what will. They say that clearly say that we have to close the hospital. But if they plan that way, they can now start charging the people in that sense, or maybe asking for support from the government. That I need this much of money, this is the resource. I need to have a fund for that.
Hello.
So that's the sustainability argument in public health. That's why economic cost. Second reason why we consider economic cost is that if you have to assess the efficiency of your manager, volunteer, entered room,
মানে শ্বাসকষ্ট হচ্ছে কি?
as a manager you want to know which resources are being used efficiently and which are not.
ওনাকে
You will
কিন্তু
find that volunteers are
ভাবতে হবে
most
আপনাকে।
efficient.
ঠিক আছে?
Why?
হ্যাঁ ভাবতে হবে
Even if they don't do anything or they don't do in much work, still they are most efficient. Why?
না আরজি করে কিন্তু
Oh,
কোভিড বেড
then manager.
নেই, ঠিক আছে? আপনাকে একটু আপনি স্বাস্থ্য ভবনে হেল্পলাইনে ফোন করুন, 1800 যেটা আছে নিয়ে বলুন যে ওনার কোভিড ওনার তো টেস্ট হয়নি, তো
Why volunteer is the most efficient here?
টেস্ট হয়নি, তাহলে কালকে নিয়ে আসতে পারেন, কালকে নিয়ে এসে টেস্ট করিয়ে নেন।
Because the treatment is low.
শ্বাসকষ্ট হয় তাহলে
Because
ভর্তি করিয়ে দেবেন,
they don't charge
তাহলে আরজি
anything,
করে
so they are
ইমার্জেন্সিতে নিয়ে
free.
যাবেন, ঠিক আছে?
So any free person
শ্বাসকষ্ট যদি
doing
কম হয় তাহলে
anything
আরজি করে
is-
ইমার্জেন্সিতে নিয়ে
is
যাবেন,
okay.
আর যদি
Whereas the
শ্বাসকষ্ট
manager
না
is
হয়
charging
তাহলে
you
কালকে
doing
আউটডোরে
something.
টেস্টটা করিয়ে নেবেন। ওকে,
So,
আর
it is always
রেগুলারলি
a
দেখতে
free
থাকুন,
person or free
আঙুলটা
thing
একটু
will be more
মানে
efficient by
রাব
default
করে
because
গরম করে নিয়ে
that
তারপরে দেখবেন
you
ঠিকঠাক
don't have
করে
to sacrifice anything.
করে
You're getting it.
দেখতে থাকুন।
But that's a wrong argument.
হুম, হুম।
This volunteer may be an absolute apodartho. And when you do mechanically cost efficiency, that how much I am paying and how much I am getting, this volunteer will be efficient, but that is a wrong assessment. So to do that, now if you put economic cost, then you will be able to assess their efficiency. So actually,
Sir?
many yes.
Sir, interrupting, sorry for that. Sir, Dr. Saurabh Patnaik, our second year PGT, has asked a question. Due to his speaker problem, he is not able to ask it directly. He has written in the chat box. So I am forwarding this question to you, sir. He has asked that economic cost is same as budget or not?
Good question. Very good question. Yes, I see that economic cost is same as budget. You see that this is an interesting question. Budget means what? I mean, there are two types of budget. One for external use, another for internal use. What is external use? That the budget you send to your donor agency or the government or Shastra Bhavan or whatever, wherever you send. There you have to send actual, right? Because you are not paying anything to somebody and you are asking for money, nobody will pay that. But there, all good public health managers prepare a kind of internal resource planning. I will not call budget, but internal resource planning. Here the economic cost should be used. The economic cost is more for the use of the manager, internal use, for your sustainability and for your efficiency analysis. So that you know from the first day of the program that how much resource you are using actually. You are not paying for that probably some of the resources, actually how much resources are you using. And actually then you can do proper efficiency assessment. So it is for internal resource planning it is required, not for the external budget you send to the funding agency or whoever it is.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sir, is this economic cost coming from the willingness to pay analysis? Like, how much you are willing to pay for a consultant, so that is the economic cost, something like that.
No, economic willingness to pay is the demand side actually, that to value value a particular service or particular resource, etc. That valuation is done from the consumers. That is important for pricing the product. For example, what should be the price of the ticket of Taj Mahal? How much ticket should cost for visiting Taj Mahal? Naturally, you have to, this is a pricing question. How much price you will charge? Now, how do you know? If you charge too much, nobody will come. If you charge too little, then so many people will come, but you will still not be able to recover your cost, etc. And it will be overcrowding. So, one way to do that by trial and error method, you do pricing. First start with some charge, and if there is a huge demand, increase the charge, etc. Like this. But a better way is to that willingness to pay, WTP approach. You ask people that, suppose economists do some interesting study, like, ask interesting question. Suppose we decide to destroy Taj Mahal. How much would you pay to stop me from destroying? How much you pay me to stop me from destroying that? Or not destroying, but I will not take care of Taj Mahal anymore. How much you want me to pay? You will pay me not to do that. That kind of thing. This is the typical WTP question. So by this way, we know how much consumers are valuing the product. But here I am talking about different things. We are talking about how the producers are basically, that is the hospital, or how they are valuing their resources. For a health manager, the resources they use, they should know how much resources they are using and what is the total economic value of that. If they don't do that, then they will get one day surprised to know, and then the program will crash, or at the same time they will not be able to take proper action on the basis of proper efficiency assessment. You see, in many government hospitals, there is a wrong belief that it is free. Even the people working there, they think that free, vaccination is coming free. And apparently, even if somebody has donated the land for the primary health care clinic, primary health care center, or somebody has donated the equipment, you see that misuse of that resource is maximum, which you get free. That's because your wrong assessment of your efficiency. So that's the reason. You read the handout, and then again, if you have question, you can come back to that. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now I am back to again slides. Hope you can see.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay, now another important classification is direct versus indirect cost, which is also called non-shared versus shared cost. Direct or non-shared is that cost which can be attributed or traced back to one activity, for example, cost of vaccines in immunization. That is, it is exclusively used for that program or activity, and you can easily trace back that this is for this. For example, the cost of raw films in X-ray machine is direct cost. It is exclusively used for only the machine. It cannot be used in for other purpose. Similarly, the testing kit for COVID-19 are direct cost for COVID-19 program, because you can easily trace, they can attribute this cost related to this particular activity. Vaccines cost for immunization is direct cost, whereas shared or indirect cost is that those inputs which are shared by other activities. For example, there in a COVID-19 case, there are some health workers who are working there exclusively for that testing centers. Their salary is direct cost. But some workers work as a part-time actually. They work there and they work also there. The sweeper who is sweeping the floor is sweeping the floor of the ward X, ward Y, ward Z, everything. So his services are shared by many activities, many wards, many programs. The vehicle you are using for your program, say a nutrition program, is used also for immunization, same vehicle. So these are shared costs. It is very difficult to attribute or trace back and how much of this cost actually can be attributed to this one. For example, if a child health program has 5 activities and you use one vehicle, it will be unfair to put the whole operating cost of that vehicle to one activity. If it is used by 5 activities, you cannot put the cost, attribute the cost to one activity only, because it is shared by other people. So it is shared cost. Now, this will come back in our main analysis, so I will come back to that, but here I am giving an example. In RCH clinic monthly cost reports. Non-shared or direct costs are those salary of clinical staff, furniture, equipment, medicine consumables, etc. What are the shared costs? The program coordination, the manager of the RCH probably is in charge of many other things. Administration is looking after overall administration, not just clinic. Similarly, the electricity bill which is coming for the whole hospital, in which RCH clinic is set. So it is shared, it is hidden in the electricity bill, the actual electricity used by the clinic, maintenance, etc. Now, in this case, what we do, we allocate a portion of that shared cost to this particular activity. And that's what is most important. In the direct cost, you attribute 100%. You can allocate 100%, but in shared cost, you cannot allocate 100% of a health worker's time or maintenance charge, because it's shared by many activities. So in that case, you allocate a certain percentage. How do you decide that percentage? That is important, that we'll discuss later. Another classification which is coming, capital versus recurrent. What is capital cost? It is called non-recurrent cost also. Sometimes it is called development cost. Usually those resources that have a life expectancy of more than 1, you don't buy these inputs, resources. You don't purchase these resources more than once in a year. Then it becomes capital cost. For example, equipment. The equipment you purchased, you don't purchase the same equipment again within a year. you will purchase after the equipment is, after it is gone, it's not working, then you buy another. But you don't buy it usually within once. You don't buy a vehicle again and again in a year. These are called capital costs. You spend now, you don't have to spend again for a particular time period. Recurrent cost on the other hand, you spend again and again and again within a year. For example, salary, you pay every month. Drugs, you pay more than once in a year. Supplies, etc. These are called recurrent costs. Example, breastfeeding program. I will not go and get into that. You can look at this presentation. The same thing is given in the handout also. So I will not send. Availables. This is another interesting one. Avoidable cost and sunk cost. Avoidable cost is that you are doing an activity in a program and you stop that activity. So, when this crisis was over, you will stop some of the centers, some of the activities. Then you will save some money. For example, if you close that center, testing center, then you don't have to pay the salary of the people, or you may not have to pay the rent of the building, or you don't have to pay for the reagents, or the kit you are purchasing. So you save that money. So when you downscale your program, you save some cost. This is called avoidable cost. For example, if you are a marriage program, in a marriage program, you targeted 300 people. Now suppose, due to this crisis, you downsize the invitation to 50. As a result, you save some money here. The caterer will not charge you, for 300. So you will save some money. This portion is called avoidable. Sunk cost is just the opposite. Once you invest, it cannot be recovered. And since it cannot be recovered, it should not influence your future economic decision. Now that's important. Suppose you buy an advance ticket of a movie. A movie is, you are here, you know that this movie is very good. And at the last moment, one of your friends told me that movie is unbearably bad. Don't go there, it's not watchable. Now suppose no way to return or resell the ticket. Do you still watch the movie? Why or why not?
Sir, as I have already bought the ticket, okay, so it hardly makes difference if I watch or do not watch the movie now, unless I can bargain it for a better price with someone else. Okay, so
No, you cannot return or resell the ticket.
okay, so if I go and watch the movie and do not watch the movie, it hardly matters. It is indifferent to one situation another. Okay.
So what will you do?
Sir, my instinct will tell me to watch the movie to recover the cost, but the rational mind will tell me not to do that. Okay.
Watch out, should go now. I think that will be the most common answer. The economist will tell you this is a wrong decision. Why wrong decision? Because yes, it doesn't matter, but yes, it matters. Because if you go, the movie, if it is really unbearable bad, so you are incurring double losses. One, to movie का पैसा गया. And second, you are imposing a distress, imposing a suffering on yourself unnecessarily. So ticket cost plus your suffering cost. If you don't go, then what will happen? You have to incur the ticket cost, that's why, but you will save the suffering cost. But in the meantime, you can find some interesting thing wherefrom you can gain and recover some satisfaction.
Sir, traveling cost can also be avoided.
No, I'm not taking into account the traveling cost. Just assume that even if traveling cost is zero, still you should not go to watch the movie.
Sir,
If it is there, yes.
first year PGT, sir, the time cannot be avoided. The
Say it
time,
again.
so the time to watch the movie can be invested in something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That you can spend the time elsewhere. You can find some old friend in your Facebook and have a good chat. It is not guaranteed though that will compensate the loss of ticket. But still, it's better than imposing a suffering on yourself. Now you have a choice if you don't go. But if you go, you have no choice. Ticket paisa is gone, and at the same time, you have no choice. You have to bear that suffering. So it's better not to go. So sunk cost is this. This is called sunk cost, that you cannot recover the cost. So in that case, okay, but it should not decide your future decision. It should not influence your future decision. Many people say that, okay, I am graduate, so I have now I have got into MBA program. And after 2-3 months, you realize that this program is not really, you don't like this program. But they will not give you back the admission fee or anything, all this thing the college has charged. So you decide that ठीक है पैसा तो ले लिया so क्या करें, let me continue. That will be a very wrong decision. If you think that it is not worth doing, then you should immediately leave, even if the money is gone. Money is gone, sunk, but your decision to leave or not to leave will not depend on whether you purchase the ticket or not. So that's the economist's suggestion. Now, sometimes these suggestions are very dangerous suggestions, because if you follow the suggestions, then probably many of us or some of us may think that if you marry once and you feel that it's not worth marrying, then economists will suggest forget it, come out of the marriage, and it is not worth it. Doing some cost, you cannot recover your unmarried position, so don't continue with that anyway. Don't let it influence your decision. No, that is not. In that case, you will say no to economists. But in other cases, like this thing, in many cases, the healthcare programs, they continue because they have invested, and that investment cannot be recovered. Now, that's the wrong decision. And so the continuity of a program should depend on other things, not on whether the money can be recovered or not. Need an incremental cost. It's an additional cost when you expand your program. So the hospitals which have come up with added new beds for COVID patients, this additional cost for this extra ward and extra beds are the incremental cost. Finally, opportunity cost. Now, this is one thing that is very most commonly used everywhere. Even the newspapers also use that. So you know this thing that opportunity cost means that when you do something, it is necessarily you are not doing something. When you are attending this 3 hours workshop, you are not attending a movie or other important things. So when you do something, there is a loss. This loss of is all due to the alternative. Next best alternative is called opportunity cost. So what you are doing, it's basically means that not doing something, and there are many things you could do at the same time, and the next best alternative, pick it this up, and the things you could do at that time. The people who actually came to as a medical student, they could be, politicians, but since they're, or they could be doing something else, they could be be in general line, or they could go to management line, etc. So they could earn some money. Now, you are not earning that money because you have not gone there, you have not done that thing. So that money is lost. That is called opportunity cost. Question. What is the opportunity cost of anti-COVID initiatives in West Bengal? Who will answer that?
Sir, we are unable to cater to the other patients. Okay.
Excellent. So, you are reserving hospital beds for COVID patients. That means you are de-reserving hospital beds for other patients. That means that you are kicking them out. So, COVID patients are crowding out the non-COVID patients. Now, as a result, there is a huge loss, possible loss, potential loss. That potential loss is the opportunity cost. Problem is that, and that's what the last point in the last slide, the managers often miss it because it is often invisible. They don't see those things. In many cases, actually, what is the loss? How many people actually could not get treatment? Remains invisible. So managers say that since I cannot see this, so it doesn't matter, and take a wrong decision. Like the dog who didn't bark. Actually, if you read Arthur Conan Doyle, there is a story by the Sherlock Holmes. The detective was the detective. The name of the story is The Adventure of Silver Blaze, where actually the dog, there was a theft actually, চুরি হয়েছিল, একটা ঘোড়া চুরি হয়ে গেছিল. There was a horse was stolen. This horse was a race horse and very valuable horse. And চুরি হয়ে গেল. Now when Holmes came and said that okay, দেখলেন যে একটা কুকুর ছিল. From the place where the horse was stolen, there was a dog. And then the police inspector asked Holmes, did you find anything interesting? Anything curious? Then Holmes said, yes, the dog. Then inspector says, what is so curious about it? It didn't do anything. Then Holmes said, that's the most curious thing. কারণ হচ্ছে লোকটা চোখটা নিশ্চয়ই কুকুরের the thief was known to the dog, and that's why the dog didn't bark. And since it didn't bark, the police thought that the dog didn't do anything, so what's the problem? Fixed versus variable cost. এগুলো তো জানো, এগুলো আমি করছি না. Fixed costs are those costs which basically remain fixed irrespective of the volume of output. For example, if you run a program and for a rented house, you have to pay the rent, irrespective of how many beneficiaries you are serving. So even if your office remains closed for 1 month, you still have to pay rent. So that doesn't depend, this cost doesn't depend on the volume of work. Salary, many teachers are now getting salary without teaching during COVID crisis. So this is fixed cost, fixed irrespective of interest on bank loan, etc. Even if you don't produce anything, you have to pay this cost. Variable cost, on the other hand, are costs that vary with respect to volume of output. For example, drugs, supplies and consumables. The more patients come to your hospital, the more will be cost of supplies and consumables. But the electricity cost more or less will remain the same. This is a fixed cost. And the variable cost is the salary, supplies and consumables. The salary cost will remain the same, irrespective of how many patients are coming. So this is all about the basic concepts of cost. I will not start with, I will not do the third slide, third presentation today. Do it next day. But any question at this point, anybody or comment, anything that you want to ask.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
In the ASCII program, in the example which have been shown, which you have shown, so if the salary of the staff has been shown as a non-shared cost, but the drugs have the staff caters to all the program. For that program, will it be shared or unshared?
No, here drugs mean the drugs used in the clinic.
No, sir, the salary of the
Salary, here also means the salary means that those technical people who are working in the clinic, exclusively in the clinic. This is just an example, I mean, this is nothing to do with reality.
Okay.
This is an example assuming that the salary of the staff, here the staff means the staff who are exclusively working in the RCS clinic. Naturally, the salaries are direct cost, non-shared. They are not working anywhere, any other activity. But if they work in other activities, then definitely it will be under shared cost.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Usually specialist salary, etc. These are direct cost because specialists usually attached to a particular activity. Whereas RMO, for example, is a shared input. Dr. Rajesh is an RMO, right?
Yes, sir, I am senior resident.
Seniors. So are you a shared input or a non-shared? Or are you a direct or indirect?
It can be shared.
It is
It can
shared.
be shared input. Maybe it's a shared input.
Shared input because you are not exclusively for any particular activity or any particular department. Your rotation and all these things happen. You are associated with many things. But a particular cardiac surgeon is, senior cardiac surgeon is probably his salary or her salary will be in under non-shared, direct.
Yes, sir.
Dora Patnaik.
Any other questions from any participant?
Participants will have nightmare today.
What, sir?
participants will have nightmare today. ये कोথায় কি হয়েছে এসব করলাম আমরা।
That's why they are here to learn about something from you.
So is this useful? These things are useful to you or what? I mean,
So in my opinion, it is very much useful, but participants should say their opinion.
Shaili, is it useful?
Yes,
to
sir,
you?
very much useful. Yes, sir, very much.
Okay, more useful stuff will come next day and day after, and then you'll see that how this information of the costs can be used by you or to evaluate, economically evaluate program.
Yes, sir. That will be very much interesting, I think.
So in that case, so I think that we can call it a day and then maybe a night. And thank you very much for your patience. But especially the handout, read and try to read some of the papers. And you see that costing and all these things which I will take up next day, most of the costing are done by community medicine doctors. For example, Shankar Pinja, Dr. Shankar Pinja, I don't know how many of you know. He is in Chandigarh PGMR, and he is a community medicine, they call School of Public Health.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So he was, happy doctor, then kya hua? Suddenly he thought that, he should do something. So he went to London and did a 1-year course on health economics, came back, and then he is now a prolific writer on this subject, and you see that his papers, I've given 2-3 papers. We work together. So you'll see that similarly there are many social medicine, community medicine doctors are coming up nowadays and doing some interesting, and they have become names actually, very important names in health research.
Yes, sir.
So I hope that some of you maybe may take up this challenge and then we'll do something. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your research.
Thank you.
So, sir, can we conclude for today?
Yes, we can conclude today and we'll meet again third day after
Yes, sir.
tomorrow, same time.
Oh. And sir, another one. Sir, I will share the today's PPT in our group, and we will again meet on 3rd December, something at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all participants. Good night.
So do I need to send you the PPT again? So,
Sir?
do I need to send the PPTs again to you, or you have no access?
No, sir. No, sir. It was with me. It is the group.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then, good. Today we will again meet on